where traditional trucking companies, like the one that I've operated prior to being in SaaS, will only work off 5 or 6 times the EBITDA, which is basically the net profit multiplied by 5. So if you want to scale a business at a high multiple, SaaS is the way to go. Hey, transportation community, this is Luis Lopez, aka the Freight Guru, and today we're going to be talking about what is SaaS. Why is this important for me to talk about? Because I have a really good buddy of mine. His name is Michael, and I play golf with Michael a lot. And I told Michael for years, hey, Mike, I do SaaS, and I'm building a SaaS platform. And he would always say, hey, Luis, that's cool, great. And one day he told me, hey, Luis, what's SaaS? And I was like, wow, how do you not know what SaaS is? Michael is a doctor, and I would think he would know what SaaS is because he probably uses SaaS applications, but Michael didn't know what SaaS was. So I want to explain to my demographic and my community what is SaaS exactly, okay? So what is SaaS? Software as a service. And what is that doing to the transportation community today? What is SaaS? Software as a service is a software distribution model in which a cloud provider hosts applications and makes them available to end users over the internet. In this model, an independent software vendor, ISV, may contract a third-party cloud provider to host the application. Or with larger companies such as Microsoft, the cloud provider must also be the software vendor. So, traditionally, 10, 15 years ago, when I was initially investing in technology, I required a server. I required to pay for somebody to come in and put that application in my server in order for me to distribute that application to my employees. And then eventually we moved into a VPN connection where you could go into that server using a VPN network connection. All that was fragmented and siloed and required a lot of manual process in order to execute. In the past 5 years, I have converted all my applications into SaaS, meaning I'm working on a cloud and I'm paying a subscription in order to implement that application into my company. What's revolutionary about this is that this SaaS application is always evolving and improving, and I'm not paying for that improvement. Those improvements are happening because the SaaS providers, in order to create value to their subscribers, are always improving that subscription. And that's the beauty of SaaS. SaaS doesn't require upfront costs. SaaS does not require heavy training. And most of the training that is required is all done through YouTube videos and Zoom calls. So the onboarding is super dynamic and efficient, and it's always evolving, and I'm not paying for that, right? So I highly recommend SaaS, and especially if you throw in software as a service, cloud platforms with single sign-on applications, then you can control your network and control who's on that SaaS application without having to have any disruption to your network. So that's why I tie in the single sign-on that we've spoken about in previous podcasts, and now we're talking about SaaS. Now, me personally, I come from transportation, which is heavy in assets and in upfront costs. And about 5 years ago, I decided to get into software because I could not find a SaaS application that could meet my multiple modes of domestic transport in one. So I created my own software called Truck Hub that has been a proprietary SaaS application for my internal trucking company. As I've exited it out of transportation and moved into just creating software as a service, I'm ultimately looking into subscription in my near future, which is why I am creating this podcast and I'm creating my audience so that you can understand my journey and how I've gone into software as a service. So I have come from traditional trucking and moved into software as a service based on my industry experience. So I've taken the challenges and the fragmented, slow processes that come in transportation and try to develop SaaS applications that can improve the quality of all transportation companies similar to the ones that I was running. So we're going to dive deep in that today and look at SaaS and why I believe that no matter what TMS platform you're operating, SaaS is the way to go. The other interesting thing about SaaS is evaluation. Now, traditional transportation companies work on an EBITDA times maybe 5 or 6 multiple. SaaS applications go 5 times revenue. That means that if you have 1 million in revenue, it's 5 times that multiple of revenue. Where traditional trucking companies, like the one that I've operated prior to being in SaaS, will only work off 5 or 6 times the EBITDA, which is basically the net profit multiplied by 5. So if you want to scale a business at a high multiple, SaaS is the way to go because SaaS is growing at revenue, not at EBITDA, which is very interesting. And we're going to break into that now. We're going to use the Microsoft purchase of LinkedIn as an example of a SaaS application that sold above that 5 times of revenue. And you could see why when we look into the UI of LinkedIn and you look at the B2B barrier that LinkedIn has done. LinkedIn is a great platform for B2B. I personally do all my marketing on LinkedIn because I'm focused on B2B subscribers and focused on improving the quality of a transportation company, freight broker, or somebody in the transportation supply chain. So for me, LinkedIn is where I post and I spend most of my time. And I think that Microsoft saw the value of LinkedIn and paid a premium for that, which is interesting because this is now an example of a multiple even higher than the standard valuation for SaaS. So 8.1 times trailing 12 million revenue, 6.7x for 12 million revenue, $196 per share, a huge 50% premium to pre-announcement share price. It's important to keep in mind that the sales multiple is on the premium end of recent public market SaaS acquisitions. This is a reflection of both LinkedIn's strong fundamentals and Microsoft's strong desire to become a relevant B2B player in the enterprise cloud software space. Most industry commentators are citing the acquisition as giving Microsoft the ability to smarten up its dynamic CRM with data from LinkedIn's 433 million users, which could prove to be significant growth driver in the future. The arguably rich multiple is a small price to pay for Microsoft, who will be aiming to deter other potential suitors from bidding now that LinkedIn's acquisition data has been made public. In perspective, TechCrunch estimates that the average SaaS revenue multiple for a publicly traded company is between 4x and 6x. So you're looking at a 8.1x, right, on Microsoft's acquisition of LinkedIn compared to what the average SaaS application, which is 4 to 6x. Why is that so critical for Microsoft? Well, everybody knows that if you're in B2B, 95% of all B2B companies are using Microsoft products, right? So if you're Microsoft, why would you want to lose that out to, let's say, Apple, that doesn't really create a lot of critical mass in the B2B space unless you're a designer or you're an illustrator or in marketing. But if you're in transportation, I would say it's probably almost 99% sure that you're working on Microsoft Outlook and you're working on Microsoft products. So Microsoft took advantage of that critical mass, said we want to combine these customers into now potential suitors for other applications that we're building, and we want to control that by buying LinkedIn. Now I want to show you a little bit into the LinkedIn UI and why I think the LinkedIn UI is a great platform for B2B advertising and marketing. So here is my network in LinkedIn. And again, I am heavily involved in day-to-day LinkedIn advertising. I think that LinkedIn's a great platform in order to grow and scale businesses. And this is where I am creating the most content and the most information out on LinkedIn. So I highly recommend LinkedIn. I am always on LinkedIn, engaging my audience in LinkedIn, and I highly recommend using LinkedIn in order to grow your B2B sales. I believe Microsoft's acquisition of LinkedIn was a great add-on to Microsoft's scale, and the valuation of LinkedIn And the reason why it was greater than the 4 to 6 was because Microsoft saw the value and upside long-term on the LinkedIn platform. So I highly recommend, if you're not on LinkedIn, add yourself to LinkedIn. It is a free social media platform, and I think it's great for B2B connection. Now I want to talk about the difference between capex and opex, and why capex compared to opex is something that you need to look at if you're looking for SaaS and looking to grow your SaaS application. Businesses have a variety of expenses, from the rent they pay for their factories or offices, to the cost of raw materials for their products, to the wages they pay their workers, to the overall cost of growing their business. To simplify all these costs, businesses organize them under different categories. Two of the most common are capital expenditures, capex, and operating expenditures, opex, right? So a capital expenditure would be if, let's say, you're creating your own software and you really can't sustain putting all those expenses into 1 year's expenses. You would create a capital expenditures where you would amortize those expenses over a period of whatever your GAAP accounting principles are. Compared to opex are your standard operating expenses for, let's say, if you were just going to pay for a subscription, you would only have that as an expense. So, for example, if you were building your own TMS like the one I've built, right? I have capital expenditures over $1 million a year in building my own TMS, compared to if I would be providing our current TMS platform, TruckHub, as software as a service into subscription. I would charge $99 to $129 for a subscription. So you take the advantage of having all that technology for a very small part of the cost, where capex, you would have to pay for that developer code and all those coders that are currently creating that software. You'd be paying for all those capital expenditures, and then you would be amortization table divided by the number of years of your GAAP principles. So in theory, you could spend $1 million in capex and divide it by 7 years of amortization in order to create a 7-year life for that software based on that 1 year of expenses. Where with opex, you wouldn't be doing that. You'd just be paying a monthly subscription for the number of users, and you would only be paying that as an expense, okay? So long-term scalability, if you're a trucking company, look out for the best TMS that works best for your business, pay for that subscription, and I can guarantee you that that software as a service subscription that you're paying for on a monthly basis is going to evolve and only improve. Another thing, if you have a lot of users on that TMS, I think that you could reach out to these these SaaS companies and ask for specific niche requests that work best for your business. A lot of these SaaS companies will provide that service for free because they think that if they can improve your business, they can also develop that for other businesses and gain new users. So SaaS is a great way to build and scale transportation companies. No matter if you're a freight broker, you're a trucking company, you're a freight forwarder, find SaaS applications that work best for your business, incorporate them in your business, build a relationship with that SaaS provider in order to grow and find niche new applications within that SaaS application that you're currently working with. Now, I want to take a dive into my TMS and what I'm creating in value, software as a service for a transportation management system. And my key subscriber is going to be a trucking company, freight broker, or shipper that's looking for a back office TMS platform to run their business. The other thing that's critical in my TMS is that I integrate with other applications. For example, QuickBooks. Don't want to create an accounting system like QuickBooks. I think QuickBooks does a great job. That's a great SaaS application, and most small to mid-sized businesses work on QuickBooks. So why would I want to create something to compete with QuickBooks? Instead, I want to integrate my TMS with the QuickBooks application and then allow that data to transfer from the TMS into QuickBooks and vice versa. And let me show you an example of my TMS that I'm working on and how I expect to make this SaaS by 2022. So the first thing you're going to do is go to www.truckhub.io. You can sign up if you haven't created an account, and this sign up will allow you to do quotes and will allow you to see live shipments once you get onto the TMS application. I'm going to sign in. So the core system of TruckHub is going to be the map view. And as you can see here from the map view, this is going to have 3 modes of domestic transport: containers, truckloads, and LTL. The main reason why I did not find a SaaS application that operates my transportation company is that I required a SaaS application per mode of transport, which did not allow me to connect the sales department with every mode of transport. So I created my own SaaS application because I wanted the synergy where I could have a sales agent upsell any mode of transport and be able to have that visibility, as well as the customer didn't have to log into 3 different applications. So I tried to avoid doing SaaS. I have used multiple SaaS applications, and they all were very fragmented. They worked well for one specific mode of transport, but I was managing multiple modes of transport within my company. All separate DOT numbers, but all multiple modes of transport within one company. So I had to create a SaaS application because I needed multiple modes of transport in one TMS. So as you can see here, you can see containers, truckloads, and LTL. And whichever mode of transport you decide to go with, it's a dynamic and different data point for each mode of transport. In truckloads, once you go to truckloads, for example, you can see real-time shipments. It's connected with Keep Trucking. So you get a real-time city, state, and location. You can also see the ELD, how much time is left with the driver for that day. And you can get a real status. So this driver is going to Wise Logistics. He's in transit, and he is 45 minutes away from the pickup location, and his appointment's at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. We are currently right now 11:35 Eastern time, so he's well on time for his pickup. He's going to be fine because even though we're on Eastern time, he would be late. On Pacific time, he'd be on time. So it looks like he's going to be right on track for his time. The other great thing about TruckHub is that it provides a date and timestamp for every milestone. It does connect directly with QuickBooks, so you can sync with QuickBooks automatically, and you don't have to manually create invoices. It provides all contacts in that shipment, so you don't have to second guess where or who or how to call. You have the driver details, you have his email, you have his phone number. You're able to input lumpers and automatically notify everybody in this order on a lumper. Provide money codes directly to the driver for tire repairs, lumper fees, or any kind of money code that you need. You also have the ability to upload documentation. The driver can upload on the driver app, and we can see that here in real time. We can message each other and notify each other through email. We can message the driver directly from here, and he'll receive it on his phone. And the other great thing is that you can share this page, so you can copy this link, and you can send your customer, or the customer can send this link to anybody, and they can in real time see tracking without seeing any invoice details or any documentation. So think about like Google Drive and sending an Excel spreadsheet through Google Drive. You could do the same thing with this link in TruckHub, and it does have status changes, and it does have ELD information, but it doesn't have any phone numbers. It does not have any PDFs. So this could be open link to anybody. So a lot of times in transportation, there's a manufacturer, there's a shipper, there's a broker. There could even be a freight forwarder with that broker. And this link keeps everybody honest and allows everybody to see where the shipment is in real time without having any data compromise like invoice details or broker details. So it's a great open link for real-time tracking, and it eliminates, which is my biggest pet peeve, the check call. The manual check call is an absolute nightmare for carriers and brokers. A lot of times, the carrier is picking up phone calls and giving manual updates by phone to a broker. And I think that that's one of the biggest things in the industry that needs to change. There has to be integration. If it's not with MacroPoint, if it's not with FourKites, which we all connect Truck Hub application to, but there has to be a better way to track the driver without calling the driver or calling the dispatcher. And that's what our main focus in Truck Hub is to keep everybody in the transportation shipment honest and provide value in where they're at from start to finish. So this is my SaaS application that I've been working on. I've been working on this SaaS application for 5 years. I have obviously done over 100 versions of this application, and it's been a very, very satisfying but difficult journey for me to create software as a service, coming from being a service provider in transportation. So my goal to the transportation community is to provide this SaaS application in 2022, and for this SaaS application to have a free subscription platform. I'm already doing free subscription platform with the mileage calculator. In August, we'll be coming out with a free CRM, which I'll be showcasing you for a minute right now. And then in 2022, I'll be doing a free TMS platform for multiple modes of transport. So that means domestic trucking, last mile delivery companies, as well as container drayage companies can work on one system, one platform. Think about QuickBooks for trucking companies. The back office to the TMS is going to be Truck Hub, and that's what we're trying to create. In the third quarter of 2021, we expect to launch a free CRM platform, and this is a rough version of what we'll be providing in the Freight Guru website. It'll be a free CRM platform that you can create a deal pipeline and you can create contacts. You'll be able to put prospects, qualified sales agents. You'd be able to put proposal, and you'll be able to put all your customers in here. And when you win or lose those customers, you're able to move them along the pipeline. So again, we're trying to provide value to the trucking community, to brokers, freight forwarders, and provide a CRM that's light, easy to use, completely cloud-based, and provides the ability to create a deal pipeline. So guys, this is the Freight Guru here. Thanks for watching. Please sign up to my YouTube channel and let me know if you have any questions. If you don't, have a great day and hope to provide you new and challenging trucking applications in the near future.